Hello, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today I'm pulling out a couple of boys that are all about 7 to 8 months old, and I'm looking at them and getting a feel for what they feel like, but also what they look like, how they move around, how they behave. Now, this guy was raised pretty much hands-off. He's just kind of wandering around doing what he wants. He came out of stall 2 right there. You can see my other big guy in the background. That's his father. And his mother is any one of the girls in there. But each of those females were handpicked for that male to try to fix some of his flaws. Which, let me run down that list in my mind real quick. His tail was too high and a bit thin. His comb hugged the back of his skull, almost like it was disjointed at the backside instead of coming straight off the skull. His earlobes were not that white, but other than that, he was dang meaty and pretty much the right color. He also had the best growth rate of the year he was hatched. Now this guy, he picked up a much better tail angle so far. Gonna have to wait and see if that holds true, because that's a trait that can change over time. He picked up way better earlobes, better leg color. His comb, it's better, but it's still not great. But it's better. There's no conjoined spikes on it. His body, it's huge. I haven't weighed him yet. My scale is on the fritz. And I'm waiting on another one to come in so I can get back into gathering weights. So I was only using my hands and my eyes for his evaluation. Now, when I consider the females for this male, I'm going to be paying extra attention to the depth of chest to see about dropping the chest lower than what it is. While he is very meaty and pretty decent structurally, his chest ought to be dropping down more than it is. That's probably my biggest complaint on structure. His temperament, he's trying to figure out what his job is. He has not grown up with females. He is not housed with females. He has had time to watch the other boys flirt. He just hasn't had any girlfriends of his own. So, as I go through... Sorry, my cat is being extra helpful. As I go through the pullets, I'll be keeping an eye out for what I'm hoping to see that will help him, especially with an eye on that chest depth. And then we're going to see how he behaves and if he has actually learned how to flirt. When I give him 2 females, I'm going to record that so you can see what happens when you first introduce a young male with some girls. I am going to be pulling from my older females as training females. They may not necessarily stay with him for the entire duration of hatch season, but they're certainly going to do their part to help train him. What do you know, buddy? You know how to be flashy. For as hands off as I've been with his rearing, he sure is awful close to me. There's my kitty. There's my flirty cockerel. He's looking up top here at the sort cage because I have females in there. I have 1 female in each pen so I can see what she's laying and at what regularity. And I'm gonna pull females from there to give them after I've established that they've got the good laying traits. What do you think, buddy? Just out for a stroll. There's a couple other boys I want to get out and do this same thing with, so let me go ahead and hang out with him for a spell. And then we'll look at a different boy. So this guy, same age, same hatch, same pen as the guy I just had out. He had to take a moment and pause, take in his surroundings, and already I can tell that the confidence level is much different. And this guy isn't anywhere near as chatty and flirty as the other one was. So they have a difference in temperament. And I'm just kind of sitting here thinking about what else makes them different from each other. So it's pretty easy to see color differences, and it's a lot trickier to both see and feel those structural differences. So this guy, so far, he's kind of standing awkwardly while he tries to figure out what's going on. Here comes his sire, scoping him out. Who's gonna wing dance first? They're sizing each other up, getting a feel. Very casual. The other guy approached it with a little more testing the waters. This guy, I think, has a even more shallow chest. His earlobes are a lot redder. Of course, when they're in this position to go about these dramatics, they do pull their feathers in really tight, and that's a form of protection. They don't realize that that fence in between them is doing all the protection they could need, but their natural behaviors are coming out now. Now, the sire, he would put that boy in the corner and make him cry. And maybe he knows it, and that's why he kind of stalked off a little bit, maintaining a defensive posture. Hard to say. This guy's tail is thinner than both his brother and his sire's. Doesn't look like a whole lot more is going to grow in there. So I think this guy is coming in as runner-up, and he is not exceeding the brother. So this guy is going to earn spare status just to maintain backup to the backup to the backup genetics. In case. I have learned my lesson on culling too thinly down to the bare bones flock this time of year. I like to keep spares just in case, because you never know what Mother Nature has in store for your flock. This guy's got a longer back than the other, and his feathering does seem to be tighter, or he's still holding them tight in his unrelaxed state. Looks like his coloring is cleaner, but we're not in the full sun, so it's hard to say. He's pretty crispy white though. Looks like the legs are a little bit paler in their blue shade. Width seems to be about the same. The fleshing felt pretty similar when I was pulling them out and setting them down, and I got my hands on them a little bit. They felt pretty similar in how they would present for table traits. This guy is just as wide. I think most of their structure difference is in the chest depth, and the other guy is better. This guy's a little bit better in length. So that's a tough call depending on what the girls are bringing to the table, because I can offset that just by using different female choices for each one. And then halfway through the hatch season, I can certainly flip them and try them the other way just to see. I am a big proponent of hatch and see before you start making final decisions. Because these guys are just 7 months old. They still have some more growing to do. They still have some more filling in to do. And a lot might change, and one may surpass the other in time. It's hard to say. I love their sire, though. As funky as he looks sometimes, he's got so many good qualities. This guy doesn't have anywhere near the confidence that the other one does. Which is weird because I did have them housed together and then I had to separate them because this guy was getting after his brother a little bit too hard and he was resource guarding. Even though they never run out of feed and they never run out of space or water, this guy was turning into the control freak. But when I put him out here on display in front of all the others, nowhere near as confident. Interesting. So the next step from here is to set both of these guys up with some training hens and see how they do in that regard. It looks like this guy, I'm going to have to pay a little bit of attention towards tails because this tail is pretty terrible. At least in my opinion. You can't tell what the tails are like once the bird is in the shrink bag, but for the birds who remain outside of the shrink bag, I do worry a bit about their standard traits and the overall aesthetic of what they look like. That guy was over there breeding, and that really got his attention. See how he's watching? They really do watch what the other birds are doing. Alright, well, I'm going to see if this guy changes in demeanor while I putz around in the barn doing some chores. Then I've got a couple more to get through. I don't know if I'm going to put them on this video or not because they have a different body structure. So I might split off into a separate video for the other body type that I have going here. He's loosening up his feathers a little bit and it's changing his shape a little bit as he relaxes. Man, details. So that's why I'm sitting on the floor of the barn with the kitty, watching, observing, and figuring out what these birds are up to. So far so good though. This might turn out to be a pretty promising season after all.